an All-Ireland medal winner himself, who in 2 short years turned a nailing Donegal team into All-Ireland champions for the first time in 20 years. If that wasn't enough, he's now become the only inter-county manager ever to be headhunted by an international professional football club. So at the end of his first week in his new job at Celtic, he's here to tell us all. Please welcome, from Glenties in Donegal, Jim McGuinness. So how are you doing, Jim? How was the first week in the new job?
Not too bad, Brenton, thanks.
Yeah.
Settling in, probably more than anything else, you know. Getting to know everybody and the surroundings. I suppose meeting some of the coaches was the big thing, and sitting down with them, met a few players and started the ball rolling, really.
Okay, and listen, I've seen the job called it that you'll be involved in development over there, but is it essentially as a sports psychologist that you've been brought in there?
Pretty much, yeah.
Right.
I suppose that's my background, sports science, sports psychology. But it's, I suppose, like the Donegal, I suppose, project, it's kind of trying to tick as many boxes as possible. The players that I'll be working with are developing players, so they're not obviously the finished article yet. And what you're trying to do is you're trying to get them up to a level, so it might be sort of mostly working on the psychology side of things, but also if there's other areas in their life that they're maybe trying to move forward on, you just try and sort of guide them in the right direction.
Okay, so you're taking a holistic approach to these guys, like you're looking at their whole lives and other stuff that's going on with them as well, yeah?
Oh, without a doubt, yeah. I mean, the overall package on the field of play is something that everybody inputs into. So you've got the coaches, you've the manager, you've got people like myself, parents, you know, partners. So everybody has a big impact on the finished product in the field of play, and that's what you're trying to do, to get that product to be the best that it can be and tick as many boxes along the way. And obviously, if they're not in the first team, there's a reason for that, and what you're trying to do is you're trying to tick enough boxes that you're pushing them up a level that they can get into that area.
So make them winners. Speaking of the families and everything, your own wife must be very supportive, is she? Because obviously you're going to be coaching Donegal again, and I know you're completely committed to that. You're now going to be off in Scotland 2 days a week as well. And you have, what, 3 small kids at home, yeah?
That's right, yeah.
How old are they?
3, 5 and 21 months.
Okay, so no wonder you're out at work all the time. I can see it.
Glad to get away, maybe.
Yeah, I can say you're looking for another job if you can get it, yeah.
Yeah. But, well, I mean, I'd have to agree with you, you know, and I suppose not just myself, but even all the lads in the Donegal team. As I said earlier, the finished product, it takes an awful lot of work now for an inter-county player to get to the level that they need to be contesting at All-Ireland level. A lot of people have to input into that, and you know, you do need help out. Some people need help out with kids, other people need help out with work, and you're just trying to create as many systems as possible, support systems as possible. And we're very fortunate in Donegal. We have a very good support team that back up the team, from the surgeons, the doctors, video analysts, nutrition, the coaches, that try to make that process as smooth as possible.
And you were saying earlier, one of the tricks is that none of those people is allowed to be a negative person, and they're not allowed to vocalise negative stuff when they're around the guys and that, yeah?
Well, when I got the job, like, I felt that it was important that that if we wanted to move forward and we wanted it to be enjoyable and we wanted to try and get the most out of the players, that you shouldn't have a negative sort of environment for the players to be operating in. So with that in mind, everybody I picked for the backroom team were positive people. They bring that dimension to training. They're very professional at what they do, but they're also very positive people, because I've been in dressing rooms myself as a player where a selector or somebody would come in the door and they would say, "Geez, we're very flat today," you know, and you know, you're flat because he just said it.
Yeah,
you know, in the same situation, somebody could come in and they could be a bundle of life and saying, "Looking forward to this today. This is a big game for us. I'm really excited about the game," and the whole dynamic changes. So that's very important.
No, the funny thing about this incredible thing you've done over the last 2 years, which, you know, some people are saying is one of the greatest feats ever achieved in the game and stuff like that, kind of nearly never happened, because you were knocking on the door for a long time before they let you be the manager, weren't you? Twice you were turned down for it, yeah?
That's right, yeah. And I suppose at that stage you're thinking maybe it's not for me, you know. And I suppose I had a conversation with Martin McHugh at one stage, and a few other people as well, in relation to the Donegal under-21 job. And I decided to take that, and that was probably the best decision I ever made, really, in terms of my inter-county career, because it gave me an opportunity to work with Donegal players first and foremost. But the under-21s were, they were just what I would call red setters in many respects. They were just very enthusiastic, a bundle of energy, very innocent about a lot of things, and very positive. And you know, we told them that we were going to win Ulster and we were going to try and win in All-Ireland, and they believed us and they worked towards it. And they were great to work with, and it was a great experience for me as a young manager to be working with them and to go through that process and narrowly beating an All-Ireland final. So we had a great journey, and it was, you know, it was the whole season through to the last game, which meant we got the most out of the journey as well.
Yeah, yeah. And the other thing is like that you nearly didn't play at senior level because you played minor, is that right? And then you went off to America, and it was kind of only chance really that you came back to the game then.
Yeah,
and back to Donegal,
I was playing in Boston, and I came home. I spent the summer there, but then I stayed on after the summer, and then I came back that Christmas for a holiday, and I got a phone call to go to a trial for the senior team in Ballyshannon. And I went up, and I ended up scoring a goal and 3 points in the trial. And after the match, I was standing outside the dressing room, and Brian McGuinness stopped me and he asked me, did I enjoy the game? And I said I did, and I thanked him for the trial, and I was going to move on. I remember he put his hand on my arm and he said, well, would you think about joining the squad? And I nearly dropped there and then in the spot, you know, and I remember driving home, wanting to get home as quickly as possible to tell my parents, you know. So it was a great moment, and I always think there was a player at the time, Brian Tuohy, who played for Donegal for 10 years, and was a very good player, and he just dropped off the panel at that stage, and I came into it, and 9 months later, they were All-Ireland champions. So timing in sport and in life is very, very important, and I was very lucky to come into a Donegal setup at the very right optimal time, I suppose.
And then you were on that panel who won in '92. And I guess in a lot of ways, you saw what winning an All-Ireland could do for Donegal at that stage, didn't
Absolutely. It was an unbelievable experience, first and foremost, to be involved with the players, because these were all players that I looked up to. They had won an under-21 All-Ireland in '82 and '87, and then all of a sudden, you know, I was going to Ulster finals watching them, and then you're in the dressing room with them and you're watching them and you're trying to pick up bits and pieces in training. So it was a great experience for me on that level, and then to win it as well, and to see what it meant to the people of Donegal to bring the All-Ireland back for the first time ever was an incredible experience for any young person, you know.
Yeah. So if we move on to you becoming manager then, so I guess you took the job in 2010. The project, the experiment, or the system, kind of, we saw it first kicking in probably in 2011, and you weren't popular for it at that stage. And of course, it kind of came to fruition this year then. Did you know, all this positive thinking and everything, did you firmly believe that you could take those guys and in 2 years you could win an All-Ireland with them? Yeah?
Well, I think you have to have belief in what you're doing, and you have to have confidence in what you're doing. There's a lot of other factors, though, that impact into it. You know, the players with the right attitude and the right mentality on a consistent level. Every time they walk in the door, they want to be there. They're focused on their training. They're trying to get the most out of themselves. They're trying to be the best that they can be individually and collectively.
So you took a bunch of guys who, like, they weren't famed for their discipline before that, and they were kind of known slightly as party boys and stuff like that. So what is the system? I know there's stuff about, you know, using the space on the pitch and where you put people and all that kind of stuff, but just I'm not going to understand that fundamentally, right? The head stuff, though, I think is really interesting. So I think a lot of it was getting into their heads, wasn't it, and kind of showing them new ways of thinking, yeah?
Well, that's one of the things that I've enjoyed most about the journey over the last 2 years is a lot of people had written the boys off, and there was a lot of negative press, you know, associated with them, and a lot of people questioning their character and stuff like that. I couldn't see that from the outside. I seen a talented bunch, and that's why obviously I went for the job, didn't get it, went for the job, didn't get it, and then got it. And I was the only person in for the job the last time I went for it. So,
It definitely would have been time to give up at that stage if you didn't get it then. Yeah. And there's 4 words that you kind of sum up the way you work with them, yeah?
Well, there's 4 words that I use, and I talk to young people a lot, do a lot of work in schools and stuff. And the thing I find about young people, sports people, young people at school and everything else, confidence is a massive thing. They don't believe in themselves, and there's young people in schools all over the country tonight, and they can be whatever they want to be. They can be doctors, they can be surgeons, they can be football players, if they totally make a commitment. The 4 words is commit, focus, believe, and achieve. And the hardest part of them, the hardest one of the 4 words to me would be the commitment, making that commitment. And on the very first day we met the players, on the 6th of November 2010, there was an article in a newspaper, in the Irish News. It was called The State of the Nation. And in that State of the Nation, it gave the ratings of all the teams. We were rated 19th in the paper. And I remember holding the paper up to the lads, and I just asked them for their opinions. Why do you feel we're 19th in the country? And we broke them into groups, and 5 and 6 in a group. And I remember going back down about 10 or 15 minutes later and saying, are you happy enough? Are you ready to come back? And they said, no, give us another 5 minutes. And then went back down, give us another 5 minutes. And then I thought, there's something happening here, And there was a bit of a cleansing process going on here. Right. And there was a lot of honesty in the room, a hell of a lot of honesty in the room. And it was a great, great start point for us. And we went for a bit of lunch after that. When we came back from lunch, it went so well that I decided to give them another task. And the second task was, how do we get to number 1? What's going to be involved in that? How do we need to live our lives? What do we need to do in the training field? What does the management need to do? And once we had that all down on paper, we had boundaries, we had a vision. I then presented what I wanted to do, as did everybody else in the backroom team, in terms of their jobs to support the players. And it was a really good start point. And I don't normally get nervous. People don't believe me when I say that, but I don't normally get nervous when I'm involved with the team. But that day I was nervous. I was nervous going down to that meeting, because it's the first time you're meeting them. You're hoping for a positive reaction. You're hoping that they're going to have that focus that you have inside you, and that belief inside you. And when we left that evening about 4 or 5 o'clock, I had a good feeling inside me that...
You knew, I can successfully turn these guys into a cult.
No,
basically.
I wouldn't say that. No, not a cult, no, but I wouldn't say that. But what I knew was, I knew that they were going to be focused on giving it everything.
Okay,
like, there's no guarantee.
So you knew that the commitment was there.
There was a commitment made.
Yeah.
There was a commitment made on the day. And once we made the commitment, we had something to focus on. We had a hell of a lot to focus on, because there was so many areas where we could strengthen. Yeah. And it was a matter then of getting a grip of that and trying to work through all them areas, identifying what was needed most, and then just pushing the thing forward in terms of what was required. And
I suppose you're an example yourself of how you can turn around the situation, in that you left school originally when you were how old?
I would say between 15 and 16.
Okay, and you were working on as a labourer and stuff like that.
I was working as a labourer.
How old were you when you went back and did the leaving?
What happened was, I was in America, and then I came back from America, got picked for the squad, and then we'd won the All-Ireland, and then there was a couple of handy jobs for the boys having won the All-Ireland, and some of them got into the ESB, and a couple of them got into Telecom Éireann. We were in Telecom Éireann, myself and Tony Boyle, and I was in it for a few years, but I wasn't really happy, because I was driven by sport, and my life was sport, and I wanted a career in sport. So I went back with a good bit of debate with my mother at the time. I went back to do my leaving cert when I was 23. Finished was 25. Then I done 2 years in Tralee. And then I went to Jordanstown, done my undergraduate there, and then my master's in Liverpool. And in relation to the confidence thing,
yeah.
Every time when I went to do my leaving cert, I didn't feel confident enough when I was going to do it, because I'd failed so miserably the first time.
When you were a kid.
Yeah. And when I had done that and I got good results, I got accepted to Tralee, and then I still wasn't confident about taking that on. And I got through it anyway, and then I got the degree, and then I think, geez, I know I'm not good enough to go to university. Yeah. And you get through that, and then you push yourself on to the next thing. And that confidence thing it's step by step, and it's confidence all the time. And it's the same with the football team. And we just took it last year step by step. Okay. We played a certain style in order to win games, in order to get traction. And if you can get traction and you can get results, then you can build confidence.
So confidence breeds confidence.
Whereas if you get beat, you don't have a second chance to move forward. And that was very important, because we had played, not in my time, but before that, we'd played in an awful lot of seasons where there was a lot of expectation and there was big games, and then the team would flop on the day, or we would get maybe ran over by one of the top teams. And that was hard for the players to take.
Okay, now, I want to talk about, we're running out of time, but I want to talk about Celtic. So because of all that, because of you going back to school and college and everything else, you've now got this amazing job there. When did Celtic first come calling?
Well, I think the first contact probably was after the Cork game, and I was invited over to a Champions League match.
Because they thought if you could beat Cork, clearly you could beat anyone. Yeah.
You've made it. I'm not sure if that's totally correct, Brendan. And when I went over there, Celtic is very like Gaelic football clubs in many respects, because it's very, very much community-based. It's very kind of family-orientated. When you go there, you're made very, very welcome. And it's been that way all week with me. For me, it was very easy because it's a club I've supported all my life, number one. And I think it's the club really for the people of Ireland in many respects. Most people in Ireland support Celtic plus a Premier League team, but I think in many respects it is the club for the people of Ireland. So there's always been an unbelievably strong connection between Donegal and Celtic. So it was very, very easy on that level. And when I was over there, and Neil Lennon, the gaffer as they call him over there, made me feel very welcome and showed me around, introduced me to all the staff and so forth. And the facilities are unbelievable. They have a new training complex in Lennoxtown, and that's where I'm based.
But you are 100%, and I know you want to make that point very strongly. People say, oh, you can't serve two masters and everything. 100% committed to Donegal. And we haven't had a double now for a while. Do you think you'll do it?
We don't operate like that, and not avoiding the question. We've always operated on the basis of every team that's ahead of us is the team that's on our sites. And we respect every team we play. We do the best to prepare for them, and then we prepare ourselves to the best of our ability, and then you go out and you try and win the match. And if you get over that hurdle, we refocus again. So for us, All-Ireland's not even on the radar. Ulster Championship's not on the radar. For us, what's on the radar is Tyrone, and nothing could be bigger in Ulster anyway than Tyrone in the first round of the championship.
Yeah. So humility on top of everything else. By the way, I'll just remind you before we finish up, we do also have a national soccer team that I think could do with the experiment and the project if you are looking for another job to keep you out of the house. Ladies and gentlemen, Jim McGuinness.